Hey YouTube, Sam here. Yeah, we're going to attempt this again here. And I got to looking, and if I was going to make this work the way they say, it'd be sitting right about where that tape measure is right there. And that's, you know, pretty far into my truck. You wouldn't be able to use your truck to load anything into it if it was sitting out there. So you're not going to be able to use the frame and bolt right into it, you know, with this thing. And even if you could, those bolts that they give for it are not long enough to get down to the frame either way. So if you buy this Harbor Freight hoist, you will definitely have to do some modifications. So we're going to get started with that. I found some steel plate. It's probably not as thick as I would want to use, but it's what I got, so I'm going to try and make what I have work. So I'll give. Alright, so I figured out I need 19 inches on this plate, and so I measured it out, marked it out, used my square, took my scribed the line across there. I'm going to take my handy dandy 4-inch or 4.5, I think it's 4-inch grinder, yet again Harbor Freight, and I'm gonna cut that out. You could probably use whatever you got. If you got a jigsaw, sawzall, I mean, if you really wanted to have fun, use a hacksaw. You use whatever you got to cut through this. That's about all you need. But for $9.99 on sale, I'll take this all day long over a hacksaw. So anyhow, I'm not gonna bore you with the cutting and grinding and loudness, so I'm done with that. Alright, we're back here. I know I promote Harbor Freight a lot of you might not like that, but for $9.99 I can afford 2 of these, and I can put a cutting disc on one and a grinding disc on the other. And it just makes sense. And to be honest, if you're worried about the American made thing, there's probably no other grinders out there that are actually American made. And if they are, they're way out of my price range, and I definitely couldn't afford 2 if even one. So they're pretty quality. I've had this one going on a couple years now, and it hasn't failed me, hasn't let me down at all, and it'll cut just about through anything. And you know, I've had this one for probably close to 6 months, and I use these things all the time, cutting, grinding. I used to abuse the crap out of them. Speaking of them, anytime you pick up one of them, you want to pick up these. And right now my ears are ringing, so it'd probably be a good idea to use one of these as well. Alright, well, I got this. I actually cut this edge here so it'll fit flat into here. And left this factory edge on here. Thought that would look a little bit nicer, because obviously my cut's not perfect along here, but it's as close as I'm going to get with the tools I have, so that's what we'll stick with. But now I got to cut, because this is coming clear out to this edge here, so I need to cut this corner out of here. So what I'm going to do is mark this, give it an estimate here. I'm actually going to come out a little bit further. Give me a little bit of wiggle room there. I'm going to take that one out, and then I'll bring this one out to about where I want to be here. And don't forget to leave room for your tailgate to close up here. And then I'm gonna, my head's not in your way here. Kind of mark this, give me a little bit of wiggle there as well. And I'll cut that corner out. I'll be back. Alright, now I'm going to mark this out, take my square here, find my line up here, line over here, put my square close to those marks. Take the Sharpie and we'll mark along there, and I'll probably start a smaller cut and then creep up on it just to get it in there right. So I'm done with that. We'll see. Alright, I went underneath there and I drilled the holes. Well, I didn't drill the holes, I marked the holes. So hopefully when that's sitting on here, I have a cross brace going right across here. In fact, this is hanging over just a little bit from the whole cross brace goes across here. And I should, and obviously the whole back of the truck is right here. This is really strong here. So when this is sitting here, the weight from where it bent before was right around in here on my truck. And so that hoist will be sitting right here. Most of the weight will be here, and hopefully this will keep it from pushing down too much here. I'm also thinking about putting that up underneath there, but I haven't quite decided that yet because really I'm not as worried about things coming up as I am about this just pushing down through the floor. I have to think about that a little bit more, and I'll decide that, drill those holes. And alright, well, we got her in. I got the plate here, I got a plate on the bottom, I got the plates that these came with down there, and had just enough bolt to where I could actually safely get a little bit of thread through them. So at some point I'm going to definitely probably get some grade 8 bolts and make them a little bit longer, but for right now, for testing, should work alright. So as I said before, I'm not really going to travel with this very often, just when I need to use it. And I decided actually to leave this in here. I noticed it when I did grease the zerk, it doesn't rattle around too much, and as long as I take all the rest out, I'm not real worried about it getting stole. And I got to thinking, if I left it in without this, the water would go down in here and probably fill it up, or at least make a big mess in there. So I decided I'm traveling it with like this. So that gives me even less things to have to put away. So I'll show you real quick how quick it is to actually put together here. Start out with the ram, unless I drop the ram. And with these quick clips here, it's actually pretty. I'm never in that big hurry. I just leave the pins right in where they go so that I can fairly easily put them in there and remember which ones go where. So, in about that much time, what it takes to really set this thing up to load it. Now I'm going to go ahead and load it up here in a minute, and I'll show you guys how it works, hopefully. Alright, I got it all in. Now I got to pull it all apart and paint it, because I don't want any rust. Alright YouTube, I'm going to try lifting this. Now this is something I've been kind of fighting with myself over whether or not I wanted to talk about this or even show anybody anything. But I actually have a handicap. I have a bum leg, basically. I have nerve damage in my leg, which causes me excruciating pain most of the time. And because of that, I actually use this wheelchair when I'm going to go somewhere and do something, and I'm going to be walking around, or not walking around obviously, but can't walk for long periods of time, so I use this chair. And I've weighed it with me in it, take my weight out of it. It weighs close to 300 pounds. And from what I've seen so far, I have not lifted it all the way up. I did take a little bit of weight off onto the crane here, and it does still seem like it's bending down a little bit, but this is the max most I'm going to be using it. So, yet again, don't use this for 1,000 pounds. Don't even do it the way I'm doing it if you probably even want to, you know, if you want to even come close to 1,000 pounds. So, because here's 300 and I think it's pushing it. So, I'm going to go ahead and start it up, and we'll test her out, see what happens. Alright, I'm zoomed in now, and as you can see, that back plate is kind of coming up off the ground, and it's definitely dipping down quite a bit. But like I said, this is the max I will ever use, and it's hanging, and it doesn't seem to be dropping a whole lot more. Like I said, don't do this at home, you know, unless you're just using it for throwing lawnmowers or something fairly light in the back that you're going to be doing. This is definitely pushing it at 300 pounds. Alright, well, as you can see, it is free flowing here, and it's definitely, I got even more than I need to get this up. So if you have anything yay big, you'll be able to get it in the back, and I can turn it pretty darn easy. And I'll get it in here. And now here's the one thing I do see as a flaw here. Is this jack just hit the side of the truck. So I'm going to have an issue trying to get this jack turned around to let the pressure off. So that is a flaw right there. And I suppose I could have turned this around, but then I'd have been jacking down here when I tried that. That's why I have it the way I have it. So I think this is too long, first of all. And then the other thing is, unless you carry a Leatherman around like I do, you're going to have trouble with some sort of pair of pliers. And watch your fingers here, because let her down. Sweet. Alright. We are now in the back of the truck. So I'd say it was a success for the most part. It's got a few flaws, like I said. I think I definitely get with some grade A longer bolts here. You're definitely going to need plate. Personally, if I had bigger plate that would come maybe even out a little ways, it's not going to affect what you can load in here as much, but maybe bring it out even this far. Like I said, I'm not responsible if you do something that I do and mess up your truck or drop something on somebody's head or something. So you know, I'm just showing you what I'm going to do for what I need to do, and I don't want you to follow anything that I do and hurt yourself, so I'm not responsible if you do. This is Sam, Jack of all, master of none. Y'all have a good